More real estate, more news all the time. Let's talk about what's happening here. So the Fed's going to hold rates and then hence it might actually raise them. So for you buyers out there, and maybe a little bit of a concern, you want to check in with your lender and find out where your rate currently is and then see what that looks like in payment because even a minor interest rate increase could price you out depending on where you happen to be looking for real estate. In Santa Clarita Valley, 850, 900. That's somewhere in the sweet spot of Valencia and the different areas out here. So that's kind of your median average. With that, if they have a quarter point increase, it could price many buyers out of that market. Now, there would be an adjustment coming potentially if, in fact, there were not enough other buyers to pick up the slack. And the way it's taking properties to sell, the length of time it's taking to sell, it doesn't look like there's that many buyers waiting in the wings to jump in and pounce on real estate, even for the good deals. The properties that are priced fairly are still taking 30 to 45 days to get into escrow. Just depends on the city and the buyer drive. But we don't see them moving a lot faster. In fact, our absorption rate is now creeping up towards 3 months. That would be 3 months if no other real estate listings enter the market for sale here in Santa Clarita Valley, and we continue to sell at the same pace we are currently. That's the absorption rate figure. Just to give you some relevance, 6 months is kind of a normal market. We're about half that. So we would need more inventory. We would need the properties to take even longer to sell to be able to meet that 6 months regularity, whatever that means. I don't think I've ever seen that. In fact, I started real estate in 98. There might have been a little bit of a time that had that kind of regularity. But that being the case, never, ever, ever as a real estate buyer, buy predicated on an interest rate you're hoping to have in the future. You got to go with what there is now so you don't get carried away. And don't ever let anybody talk you into purchasing real estate because they just know that interest rates are going to come down. Don't do that as either. May home sales hit a 5-month high. U.S. home sales rose 3.2% in May, 4.17 million annual pace, the strongest in 5 months. Now, you look at that overall as May home sales hit U.S. home sales. That's the overall market. Out here in Santa Clarita, we're not seeing that. Los Angeles, we're not seeing those big increases as well. This is going to have kind of a reverse effect. We're looking at these areas that are close to these massive data center builds out and tech junctures, tech areas. We're watching those push that market. Now, looking 2 years after the NAR settlement, if you're not familiar, there was a lawsuit placed against the National Association of Realtors and a few other organizations talking about how real estate agents and their commission structure was not negotiable as it should be. So now there's a lot of different rules. If you're a real estate buyer, where that's going to affect you is if you want to start looking at real estate, even house one, and it's not in an open house, you're going to have an agent take you, and that agent is going to have you sign a contract. If you're going out with an agent and they're not having you sign a contract before you go look at a property, they're breaking the law. They're breaking the rules. And if they're willing to do that before they even bought you dinner, probably a problem. Anyway, there are some agents that try to sneak by and do it a different way, but it is a violation. Everybody is supposed to give you a contract. Contract itself is going to establish who's paying what. So if you don't want to pay your buyer's agent's commission, you don't have to. That's part of the deal. You might not find anybody who's going to show you houses to have a backup plan because in some cases the sellers aren't going to pay it. But according to this particular article, and even what I've seen boots on the ground stuff out here in Santa Clarita, doesn't seem like much has changed in the position realm, in the commission realm. But for real estate buyers now, it's more forward facing that you might potentially have to pay your agent to represent you. And of course, on both ends of it, whether it's somebody hiring an agent to sell their house, like a sellersonlyagent.com agent, or it's a real estate buyer. I don't represent buyers anymore. I did that for 21 years. For the past several, I've been sellers only agent. However, when you're looking for that buyer's agent, you want to find out what that value is and make a determination if they're worth what they say they're charging. And then you have to take it from there. All right, so that's what happened with the settlement. And we haven't seen a lot of that changing in our market as far as what's happening. There's fixed fees, flat fees, these sorts of things as well. You can see those at different areas online. Zillow and Redfin private listing ban goes live June 30th. This is interesting, maybe consumer-facing issue. Zillow's ban on publicly marked and private exclusive listings takes full effect June 30th. Analyst Mike Del Prete estimates roughly 7,000 Compass private listings get pulled from Zillow. Yeah, so that was the game, right? You have real estate brokerages trying to capture as much market as they can. So different companies are now saying that, okay, if our agents get a listing, we're just going to propagate it and publicize it on our own website. So if you're a Realtor.com follower or a Zillow follower or Santa Clarita Open Houses or whatever it is, you're not going to see that listing. We're going to keep it out of the MLS and we're going to privatize it and only put it on our website. Less eyeballs for sellers. Does that do the sellers justice? And less buyers being able to find those listings. Again, and they're also going to probably force you to register. While I haven't looked at this, if you go to these websites and you're searching for these listings that you're not finding anywhere else, I'm sure there's some kind of pay to play. There's got to be some way that they're going to let you on that system. More than likely, they're going to make it so you have to give up your personal and private information so it can be sold. And if it is an exclusive listing, there's probably some regulation on how you can view the property, what requirements are in place. Maybe you have to give a pre-approval letter, something like that, proof of funds. And that's not an unusual thing in the market, but giving up your wherewithal to strangers that you're not even intent on hiring. Yeah, what a shame. What a shame. It's not good for the public. It's not good for the consumer, but since when do they do things that are good for us? California insurance crisis, now an affordability crisis. Average California homeowner premiums rose 84%. 84%. Gas hasn't even risen 84%. And it's risen a bunch. From end of 2020 to March 2026, the FAIR plan, that's an additional coverage out here. We see that happen with regard to a lot of home sales. Home sales that you would never think there would be an insurance problem in the beginning. It's not like it's in the middle of a forest. We're talking a tract home, but it happens and seems, what it seems like? I hate to even get on this. It seems like if they can get it, they're going to take it. That's what it seems like. It's not about fair. It's not about a fair fixed fee or whatever. It's about if they can get it from you, they're going to take it. What a shame. All right, so the FAIR plan now covers about 5% of single-family homes, up 1.5% in 2020, backs roughly 6% of new mortgage originations. More than 1 in 17 new California home loans is written, with the mostly limited, most expensive coverage as the only option. Stanford researchers say crisis is spreading beyond wildfire country. Also, we're watching as insurance brokerages aren't renewing policies. So if you're out there buying a house, or even if you're a seller of something, we got to have that discussion. If you happen to have a particular insurance company that you've had for the last, 1,000 years, it might not be that they're writing policies out here in California. So that could cut in to the ability of buyers to purchase your residence. Then they have to look at their own insurance. It used to be you could wait until kind of the end of the escrow to get insurance coverage. It'd take a day or two. Now it's a little bit longer. Now, because of the pricing, you want to do that before you start spending real money. So you want to get that insurance coverage looked at right at the very beginning, right immediately when your offer gets accepted. I'd start making some calls. If you have a rumor from your agent, and this is real estate mistake 101 for newbie agents, but if they happen to tell you something before they have it in writing, that's a problem. Let's say they do, and it looks like you're going to get the residence because somebody promised them. And again, that stuff falls apart all the time. However, you go with it. I would still call your insurance agent right away and say, hey, Jack, let's get set up. This is the address. I need to know if you're going to be able to insure the house. Sometimes Jack is going to have to do a little bit more than just run it through the machine. They might have to send somebody out to look at the neighborhood, so it could take a few days. And then after they get that policy put together or the package put together, then it might take a little bit of time after that. But make sure you do your research. And in Santa Clarita Valley especially, insurance is definitely a closing risk. It's not something that, don't worry, you're going to find it. It's not that world anymore, so watch out for that. Market snapshot out here. We do see some mild cooling. Median sales price about $799. That's overall. Cities of Valencia is higher than that. But over the last 3 months, down roughly 2% year over year. Inventory is about 310 homes, that's up 0.2, single family, up 2.1% from last year. And that's a tight, you're about 2.9, 0.293 months. Homes sell about 99% of asking in about 45 days. And it's going to depend on the area. It's going to depend on the pricing strategy and also the marketing and advertising. That's a big deal to look at whenever you get ready to get your house on the market. That said, I'm Connor with Honor. When you're ready, reach out, sellersonlyagent.com, connorwithhonor.com, of course, or I wouldn't have got the shirt made. All right, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Be well. Have a fantastic, rest of your day. I got a new camera, so I'm practicing. See you soon.